everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the Tuesday, June 17th edition of the Daily Pulse. I'm your host, Teddy Panos, coming here from the WellPoint Studios here in downtown Lowell. Took a day off from the Pulse yesterday. I had the pleasure of participating in the 11th annual Megan House Foundation for Hope and Recovery golf tournament. Great time. Boy, did we get lucky with the weather. A little early morning fog, but once that cleared, it was beautiful, not a cloud in the sky, and it wasn't even hot either. So perfect day. Congratulations to everybody at the Megan House Foundation, and thanks for letting us here at Inside Lowell be a part of that event. Back to the grind today, and back to it in a big way, but in a good way, because I'm excited today to be joined on the Daily Pulse by local, I don't even know what the title you at this point, Artie Sutcliffe, but he's kind of got his hands in so many different things in the city, good things that bring us entertainment, especially in the summer. I've been part of the Festival Foundation and the Lowell Summer Music Series, but of course the big event coming up, the final full weekend in July, the Lowell Folk Festival. Do I have the right dates? July 25, 26, and 27?
Yes, you do.
I got it. See, those of us in the restaurant business, we need to know those dates. But we're excited because Artie is kind of the head honcho. You see him driving around the festival in his car and making sure everything is in order. What you don't see is the 362 days of preparation that go into putting on that 3-day event. And this year's maybe, I don't know, other than the COVID years, maybe the most challenging one yet for you. But we're excited to have you here to talk about this year's event and everything that's going on with it. Artie Sutcliffe, thanks for joining the Daily Pulse.
Thanks, Teddy. Good morning.
Good morning to you. We're going to get right down to it with Artie in a quick second. Let me first just thank my Daily Pulse sponsors, Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, you need to get in touch with Ray Booten. And the way to do so is on the web, realestaterayBooten.com. That's realestaterayBooten.com. Get his phone number, get his email address, and get busy on buying or selling your home or your property. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint, the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Thanks to Ray, thanks to WellPoint. Some other sponsors we're going to thank as well. But let's get right down to it, Artie. Okay, so everybody kind of wants to know, hey, what's going on with the festival? How are they doing at the festival? People asking me as if I know these answers. You know the answers. Much publicized about a month or two ago that you were some money that you have been receiving and counting on, a $20,000 grant, has been cut from this year's festival as part of all the downsizing going on in Washington, D.C. with the government. Where are we? Give us a financial update on the 2025 Lowell Folk Festival and where it stands as we sit here on Tuesday, June 17th.
Okay. Well, it did hurt to lose the 20 grand, and that's something we're never going to get back. That's never going to come back.
No chance of that coming back.
Never going to come back.
Okay.
Well, the funny part of it is, if you read the articles on this, and if you look at the NEA guidelines for their grant, now we've been getting this grant for years, and if you read their guidelines, we fall into every category. And what they're saying their new guidelines are, we still fall into it. But they granted us the money this year, and then all of a sudden, they put it in our pocket, then took it out. So, to jump in the hole 20 grand is a hurt. And the other hurt is, the sponsors, and we have great sponsors that yearly help us out, and it's a good thing because it's a great thing for the city. It's a good boon, for the businesses and how it helps. They're a little tight, feelings with their financial situations. So the amount of money that we've been getting from various sponsors has dwindled. So, everything's on the downslide, So, we're not crying poor mouth. We're trying to do the best we can. Okay. And I will admit that since that $20,000 loss came out in the public, people have responded.
Good.
People have responded.
That's what I've been hearing anecdotally.
The people in Lowell, you can't beat them. You know, I mean, not only for the folk festival, you know, every year, you know, I'm part of the Salvation Army Radiothon.
Sure.
And you wonder, what's going to happen? But the people of Lowell step up every year.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that one year where Warren Shaw actually lowers the target goal.
He keeps putting it up.
and sure enough, the greater Lowell community, Lowell, Drake, and Chelmsford,
they answer.
Everybody answers and then ups the ante, so he just gets encouraged to raise it again. But so you mentioned the NEA, that National Endowment of the Arts. 20,000. Now, I know that you've been working, because we've been chatting every year, promoting the Folk Festival through my broadcast career. They're also the people that bring in the musical acts that play at these main stages.
No.
Oh, they're not?
That's a different agency.
Okay.
The NCTA is the National Council of Traditional Arts. It's one of our partners. And they have the unique position of knowing these artists from all over the country. And, you know, we bring acts in from not only United States.
Right, worldwide acts.
Worldwide, okay? So they were getting, they put on about 5-6 festivals a year, including the National Folk Festival, which they have complete control over. Mm-hmm. These festivals like Lowell and Richmond and all over. There's a bunch.
The national one is where? In Mississippi
the national one's in Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah. And it's their first year to have the national. And, you know, it's not the most affluent, you know, place. And they want to bring this in and do something. Well, you know, the NEA, National Endowment of the Arts, is a big sponsor of the National Folk Festival. Not only the individual folk festivals that are spin-offs of the national. Well, they're cutting back on the national. And Jackson's like up in the air. Their festival's going to be in November. And it's in jeopardy.
Wow. You
know, first year trying to, you know, they're trying like heck to get things rolling down there. And, you know, they've got acts booked, and NCTA is doing a good job of getting them, you know, going. But they're feeling a pinch. But the NCTA, all the festivals that they put on this time of year, NEA grants all of them, grants them money to put all these festivals together. So they took the huge hit because they got cut on everything. So they've been kind of quiet, saying, "Yikes!"
Okay. But they're still funny. They cover the acts, correct?
No. We pay the acts.
You pay it out of your own.
They contract them. Okay, and they get us the best deal they can.
Gotcha.
All right,
okay.
And then we pay them out of what we raise. So transportation, getting them here, transportation to get them to the area, and then feed them, house them, transport them back and forth to the festival, because now we're in Tewksbury.
Yeah, which has been a challenge the last couple of years with the loss of the ICC.
Last year was the first year out there, and it was a huge success. We sweated it out. We did a lot of, but I'll tell you, the girls that are out there in charge were girls that worked at the ICC.
Okay.
So they knew the routine.
Gotcha.
And the hotel was gone through 20, I think it was 20 million they spent, Hilton, going through this place. What a job they did. You put the ICC here and where we stayed in Tewksbury, it's like night and day. Everybody, we used to get complaints all the time about, oh, my room was this, my room was that, oh, that place is, but it was in the middle of the festival.
Right.
You could walk out the door and there.
Exactly. You hear the music.
Yeah. And now we're in Tewksbury. I mean, it's the only hotel big enough to, I need like 160 rooms for the weekend. Okay. So it's a challenge because there's not a hotel around here big enough. And, the cost was more, per night than what we were getting at the ICC. And then, but things were better. The rooms were better. The food service was much better. Everything was better there.
Right. So I was under the impression that you guys got an awful lot of money from the federal government for this.
No.
Basically, you get that $20,000 grant.
Well, we also get money from the government through the national park.
Right, which is a partner in the festival.
Right,
So-
and we get a good amount of money towards the festival for that.
and that is good for this year.
We already got it.
Long term, again, there's some concern about
Right.
what happens given the.
Well, they're just shaking too. They don't know what's going on.
Sure.
You know, I mean, their seasonal help is being, diminished. A lot of our help comes from the park. All right, and city workers, and we get some. I can remember when it used to be a complete volunteer festival. Okay, now no matter what comes up, well, how much is the pay? And my pay doesn't go up. I get paid absolutely nothing for what I do for this festival.
You've been so consistent at your job that you just your pay stays.
Well, you know what? It's a good thing for the city.
It's a great thing for the city.
And it's good to have something in the summertime that keeps the city alive a bit, and that's why we're going to keep this going. And we're going to have a party this year. There's no doubt about it. All right, I guarantee you we're going to have a good festival.
Good. That's what I want to hear.
Well, I guarantee it. And and I told the council that. I got called when they cut out 20,000. I got called in front of the council, and they wanted to know what the situation was and how they can help. And they've been a big, big help. They're anxious because I told them right out, on the council floor that this doesn't run on love. We need the cash to pay.
How much money does the Lowell Folk Festival cost to put on every year? I've been working with the number $1 million now for again, for the last 15, 20 years that I have been doing media in the area, but I know how inflation works. I'm pretty sure that $1 million.
We're over $1.5 million.
You're $1.5 million
at least.
So it's a free festival to attend. You don't get charged. There's no gate. It's not like anything else. You pay for the food and drink that you get once you get in there and whatever you decide to spend. But all of the stages, all the acts are free to attend, but it costs $1.5 million plus to put on.
When you figure the staging, the equipment on the staging, the lighting, the sound, the help on the stages comes from a professional organization. That's why the festival is always so nice, and the sound is good.
Yeah, it's like any outdoor concert. These are the folks that set up these concerts.
If we could charge admission, we wouldn't have a problem. But how do you shut off the downtown and charge everybody walking in?
Completely change the footprint, fence in the downtown,
Right. And we don't want to do that.
It loses some of the flavor for the local businesses that.
John Q. Public could come down to this festival. Yeah, it might cost you a few bucks to park. Okay, but some of that parking money, believe it or not, comes to the festival.
Sure.
So a cut of that, and we get a decent cut of it, which helps. So you pay for parking, and you walk in the festival. Unless you're buying food or cold soda to drink or a beer.
To pack your own picnic bag.
You can pack your own lunch and sit down and
can't put booze in there legally.
Well,
but I may have seen a person or two who's cheated on that front.
I know nothing about that.
But, so you could theoretically spend your whole weekend and not
enjoy it
anything
and have the fun and be in the crowd and enjoy the flavor of it and not cost you other than parking. All right, but don't forget now all these food booths that are around, they're all nonprofit.
Correct.
Okay, and they have to prove it to us every year. They have to fill out paperwork. They got to tell us at the end of the festival how much they spent on food, how much help they had in the tent, how much they took in, and where the money goes. It has to go to their charity of their church or school, and which is. We don't get a dime of that.
And those nonprofits represent, everybody
churches,
diversity and ethnic flavor. That's what you're getting. I know my church, the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church, they have one, the Hellenic school as well. But I know the Polish community has one.
We have 18 different
Laotian, Cambodian, some of the African communities are out there. So that's kind of the quote unquote flavor of the festival. They're all nonprofits, and for them. For most, if not all, this may be their largest fundraiser of the year.
This is what keeps them going. They're one group, the Filipinos. I mean, you got to stand in line for an hour to get food there. But you watch them work. They're a finely tuned organization. They got the kids. They got the adults. The kids are in the alleyway there near the old tech school. They're cutting vegetables. They're doing this. They're doing that. They got the longest lines. Well, maybe. The Polish has lines, and a lot of them do. But they probably have the most income, and all that money runs their school in Burlington for the year. Okay, and that's the best part of this. People say we're crazy because we don't charge them. We charge them for the tent, the tables, and chairs. Yeah. That's what we charge, and then they got to pay for their permits. They got to pay for the inspections on the equipment that they're using, fire or whatever, health department, and then the money's theirs. But they got to prove to us where the money goes, and if they don't get invited back. But that's the flavor of it. I mean, yeah, we're crazy for not taking part of the money, but why? We haven't done it in 37 years, and we're not going to start.
Well, let's hope not. Because, we worry every year. We've talked about this now for a while. You're one rainy weekend away from losing some of that revenue that you get through the bucket brigades and the other stuff, and then the following year gets in doubt. What are some of the costs that the average person doesn't see? What are some of the things? Because everybody says, all right, well, we again, they have to put up the tents and the music stage and the sound production and the musical acts. That's a big chunk of the budget. What else is that people don't understand? Oh, they
tables,
have to pay for that?
Chairs that are at all the tents, the porta potties.
Porta potties, yeah.
Okay.
You need those.
And they're all over the place, and they don't come cheap. There's all little, we're going to get generators for some of the stages because they're not, just don't go over and plug it into the wall. All right. The equipment that's used needs some power. So, generators, lighting, we got to pay for permits. We got to pay for licensing for the alcohol that we sell. That's a great revenue for us, and I think that people enjoy it because you can sit there and have a beer and listen to the music and enjoy. You meet people. People gather at that place, and it's a good thing. And you got to pay for police. You got to pay for the overtime, the medical personnel. Sure. The golf carts, we have like 22 golf carts on site, because it's very, it's a wide area to cover. We've condensed it a bit, which I'm glad we did. Yeah. Dutton Street was out in the boondocks. But, and I think, we did the right thing bringing it into downtown. And, again, people that work to help things, we got to pay them. And it just, we have to rent vans. We have to rent buses. We've got to send people into Boston to pick people up. Transportation costs to and from Logan, because as you said, these acts are coming from all over the country. All over the country, cases, right. All over the world. And the hotel rooms, I bet that hotel bill adds up pretty quick. Well, I'll tell you what, last year was the first year in Tewksbury, and the bill was like $10,000 more than it was at the ICC. And they gave us a break. They gave us a break on the rooms. Thank them. They're great people. They were great to work with. And they look forward to it. They staff up and they give us all they've got, So it's a challenge, cost. And then the tents went up about $12,000 last year from what they were the year before. Nothing goes down. Same number of tents. Same number of tents. Yeah, see that, and that's inflation. When you see your egg prices go up, everything else is going up, and sometimes when those food and gas costs go down, the cost that you pay for other products never does, right? Right, and don't forget the ethnics. They're what they're selling. They're about almost giving it away. The hours they put in to get this. We also have to get storage pods, to keep supplies in. We've got to get refrigeration. Yeah, sure. We've got to get ice. That's a huge part of this is ice to keep, to keep things cold. It's the middle of the summer. Mm-hmm. Year before last, we had that Saturday rain out. We got killed. Devastated, yes. And it was right in the afternoon. We've never had a day like that in the whole time of this festival. And we were lucky. It worked out. And we were able to survive it. But we can't survive 3 days of that. Right.
And
you know,
you're at the mercy of Mother Nature.
and you're in the middle of summer.
Yep.
You're gonna get. I can remember every year we used to get the Sunday afternoon 4:00 thunderstorm,
watch out the street.
and we would say,
Great.
"Thank you, God, it's over."
Now we can go home and we're watching the street. So, what's the long-term plan, Artie? This is if you were a business and you had a board that shareholders who wanted to see financials and a return, they tell you to shut it down, because it's tough to sustain it. So what's the long-term plan? So you've lost that 20,000. You pray, you keep your fingers crossed that the national park funding continues to stay where it's at. But how have you guys kind of thought about it? Have you planned ahead to how you're going to go in 2026 and beyond to keep this thing sustainable? What needs to happen?
It's the sponsorships. We hit big businesses. We try to get them to sponsor a tent, a music tent. Let's name the tent. I think we have one tent we're gonna sponsor this year with naming it. Somebody, there was a great donation made. And
has it happened before?
Nope.
No.
We try to sell that as a naming rights to the stage. I've been to other festivals through the country, and like they have Joe Supermarket stage, but now our stages have been named the same because we can't get somebody to pony up. We've tried to get outside the 128 area, and it just doesn't get the pizzazz outside that area that we should. And again, we've been trying to get our Boston stations to kick in. Matter of fact, when we lost the 20,000, one TV station in Boston contacted me that day, and they wanted to interview me about what was going to happen with our festival, because that's how it came out. So if we could only get more of that on Boston stations, and we try, and it just doesn't, we're not big enough, I guess, or we're not in the right city, like Boston Calling had 3 days of advertising,
all the rock stations and
everything. Yeah. And we just, if we could get some advertising like that, like we get maybe a 30-second spot, like Saturday morning and Sunday morning on the news. But who watches the news on Saturday, Sunday morning?
Right. It's nice, but to get a little build up leading into it, and then constant buzz, that would help.
I mean, we've put together videos and everything and sent it out, and we just don't, we've tried to get on Chronicle. I mean, that'd be a great take for Chronicle, to hit the food booths and see what's there and the music and whatever. And that's a chore, too, because we have to get written permission off the groups, off the bands, to have it shown.
Yeah, playing music and whatever to promote it. Yep.
I mean, even to get them to do something, locally, it can be a hassle. But, we're going to try to do some fundraising in the off season. Do something to make awareness during the off, winter time for the folk festival. To do something in June, is kind of fruitless. I think it needs to be done during the sediment of the cold winter, and hey, look forward to the festival.
A lot of organizations do those end of the year holiday giving campaigns. Right. Perhaps that.
And we do that. We send letters out in December. Like we have quite a mailing list, and we send out, and we get a lot, especially when the 20,000 came out that we lost. We get a lot of $100, $200, $300 donations. It was good.
That's good.
A lot of people responded and thanked them, vicariously for what they've done. They like to see it. I think maybe we got a little too complacent with things. I mean, that's what I keep bringing up to the partners, that 36 years of this, okay? And people see it happen, and they're going to say, when you keep begging for money, they say, well, it's going to happen. It happens every year. But, they're going to realize, like I said, I guarantee a festival this year, but I can't guarantee something in 26. I mean, we're going to shoot for it, and I'm not saying we're not going to have it. I'm saying we need help. People got to get on board if they want this to continue and support us. Support the cause. Businesses, we got to get the businesses to support the cause, and let's see if we can keep this going another 37 years. I mean, I won't see it another 37 years, but
don't say that. I'll see you in 37 years. You'll be here. We'll talk more about how folks can help, and there's a number of little ways, big ways as well for anybody watching that is able to do so. Plus, I want to talk about this year's festival. What's old, what's new, and what's somewhere in between. We're chatting with Artie Sutcliffe about the Lowell Folk Festival, the 2025 Lowell Folk Festival coming up the last full weekend of July. Every year, you can mark your calendar. Last full weekend of July. This year, that's the 25th through the 27th, Friday through Sunday. We'll continue our discussion. Let me just quickly thank our Daily Pulse sponsors, Ray Booten. You can find them online, realestaterayBooten.com. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, he is your man. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Thank you to the Washington Savings Bank, banking that feels like home. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell, Southern New Hampshire since 1925. The Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life in our communities through strategic, impactful philanthropy. And of course, the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, Jay Linehan, their president, executive director, has a big role in the Folk Festival. Thank you as well to Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on since 1982 to protect its most valuable assets, and by the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Mill City. A little bit later on today, we're going to drop our latest Inside the Pirates podcast. Podcasts have won 3 games in a row now on a hot streak, and they're back home Saturday night to play the Tulsa Oilers at the Tsongas Center. Continuing our discussion with Artie Sutcliffe about the 2025 Lowell Folk Festival. All right, so anything new? Anything new in the Folk Festival that people can see?
Yeah, we're going to be moving an area. We used to have the kids area on Shattuck Street.
Yep.
That's going to move. We're going to put it down in Kearney Square, that end of Merrimack Street. We're going to try to stretch out Merrimack Street a bit, and then we're going to put some sponsors probably on Shattuck Street. We're going to try that. That end of Merrimack Street doesn't get a lot of attention. We thought about putting a stage down there, but I don't think that would work because it's out of sight. And if we can, and then we're thinking about putting some local businesses that want to get into the.
Hopefully, that's not a sponsor. Well, hopefully it is, but you're a popular guy.
I'll tell you, we want to extend Merrimack Street and get people down, get for the businesses down there. They don't see a lot of action down there because everything's up the other end. Towards City Hall. Mm-hmm. So we're going to move that this year in the effort to, again, expand a little bit, get more downtown involved. And then everything else is pretty much going to stay the same. Market Street, which has been a big boom. I love the stage in the middle of Market Street. Keep it there all summer and bring acts in. I don't care. And we've extended the hours of that. We go to like 8 o'clock at night there now. Oh, okay. So we've extended the hours there because you can. All right, we can go to dusk. That's a Saturday Sunday stage, right? No, or are you adding Friday? No. It's Saturday Sunday. Okay. You can add Friday. I believe it's only Friday, Saturday. Saturday, Sunday. Yep. I tell you, sometimes I don't get involved in the scheduling. I mean, how much more can I get involved in? I gotta let the other help take care of some stuff. But other than that, it's going to be pretty much status quo. You're moving. You move the kids area out of the box hockey games and all the fun stuff. You're moving it to Merrimack. Are you moving something into Shattuck Street? Yeah, we're going to try to get some sponsors in there. We're trying to get more sponsors in, because they pay a price to be in, and so we're going to try to get sponsors on Shattuck Street also because that's a big pathway. Sure. Between connects the Market Street stage to everything else, and it parks some of the parking area over at Dutton Street on the other side of the visitor center. So we're going to try that and see how it works. Again, the businesses got complained a bit about that end of Merrimack Street that it's quiet down there. They don't get much attention. And like last year, we moved the street act Like we have a street act on the afternoons during Saturday and Sunday. They used to be at the corner of John and Merrimack. Last year we moved it right to Central in Merrimack, and they drew crowds down there. All right, so that's why we're putting the kids area down there also.
Okay.
And then, so that'll be back down there this year. And like I said, that draws, because it's a pretty entertaining thing that Washington gets us for that area. Mm-hmm. And so we'll do that. And then we'll have the regular parade to start the event on Friday evening, which is all the
parade of nations, flags,
right,
whatever you call it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, that'll happen. And then we'll have the parade on Saturday afternoon, later in the afternoon to bring the night stage on into boarding house. But there's changes coming too with the city. They're going to do some construction work on French Street, which not this year. And I don't know about next year. That might throw a wrench into things. And we were trying to work things out to say don't ruin a good thing, But we'll see what happens.
Is this the high school project? Or
no, this is something that's going to be coming from Bridge Street all the way to the Songus. They want to.
Yeah, they're reworking that stretch of roadway. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to put bike lanes in there. I mean, for the thousands of bikers that use the roads.
Don't get me going. Don't get me going.
That's why I said it.
But the problem is if you need the, whenever the state gives you money for a transportation or road project, they demand, bikeability, walkability, whatever.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So it's what it is,
If you want the money, you got to dance to the person who's paying the band. Right?
Let not the folk festival get in the way,
Well, just think of all the people who bicycle their way into the folk festival.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've got to put bike racks up all over the place to corral people, not bikes.
All right. But all the favorites are coming back. We haven't. Nothing is not going to be there that people have expected to see.
No.
So you got the food tents.
Food tents.
Every flavor of the world is there, and that doesn't even count the businesses that are already in the footprint.
Right.
And they put out their wares.
Right.
The musical acts, the crafts, arts, all that stuff.
We didn't do that last year, and we're not doing it this year either. We're trying to get the foodways back in. But not this year. Maybe next year at the top of Lucy Lockham.
Yeah, they did the cooking demonstrations.
Right. So, I mean, we get enough ethnic groups, involved.
Sure.
You can put a cooking show on like Saturday afternoon, Sunday, and people used to come to that.
Sure.
It was great. And with the expansion of the high school, it kind of killed Lucy Lockham for us. And as far as the crafts go, the crafters were there showing what they do. And each year, the Mass Cultural Council, they used to give us money and help support that. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. So the girls that used to work with us from that.
The Mass Cultural Council out funding too?
Yeah. Well, they go in a different way. We got some good money off them in the past couple of years. Now they've changed their direction.
Really?
And it's funny because the direction they're going in, again, like the NEA, you read the specs, and it's crazy. And we fall into them, but I guess we don't fall far enough. So we do have a woman on board this year that's like a development director. And she's looking into grants all over the place and applying for them. And a lot of them don't come due till after the festival's over. So we'll see what comes out of that. And she's applying a lot of them that do, encounter what we're doing. And it just, I just wish we could walk up to some trees and just pull up some money and say,
You and everybody else.
I know.
All right. So the ways you do get money, though, any businesses or individuals who are interested in simply contributing or becoming a sponsor, whether it's of a stage or something else, you're the person they get in touch with, or who do they get in touch with?
They can go on to lowellfolkfestival.org. All right, and you could send an email in, and my executive director or the girl that handles our sponsorships, Sylvia Kuna. What a job she does. I mean, she really busts to get stuff done.
Do you think she can squeeze a few more bucks out of Zach Bryan? You know,
we want to see if he wants to buy something. Yeah,
we'll let him perform if he wants.
That's what, by all means. You know,
we're gonna make him a Lowellian whether he likes it or not.
I know. But no, it's they go on that website, and John Q. Public can go on that website.
Correct.
And there's a donation button. You can hit it. You can make a donation there. The Bucket Brigade during the festival, very important. Okay, and we've got to try to organize that a little bit better because we try to get on stage between acts, and it's hard because people are funny. They know what they're coming to see. They'll crowd a stage. See the act they want to see, and then when that act's done, they hightail it out to another stage to see another act. So you try to catch them, and you try to have the bucket saying, "Look at you see these folks with the buckets when they come by. That's what keeps this festival free, and that's what we need."
How much do you raise every year from the Bucket Brigade?
It averages 35,000, 40,000.
And this is where when you talked about a rainy weekend or even a rain day on Saturday, which is your big day, that's a full day.
Right.
That's devastating. If you're raising that much money from the Bucket Brigade. So we need folks to be a little bit more generous if they can this year. And I know times are tough for everybody, but it would certainly help if folks attending remembered that, this isn't a guaranteed festival. Right. It would help if the businesses, our fellow, businesses, especially in the downtown, you're getting significant foot traffic. You just heard Artie tell you they're expanding. They're always playing with the footprint of the festival to try to bring more of an audience to your business's doors.
Right.
But that costs money. Those staging areas costs money. So if you get 20 businesses to each put in, anywhere from a couple of $100 to maybe 500 if they can foot it,
And any big business
quickly that'll erase the 20,000 from the NEA.
And any big business in the area. Anybody that runs a corporation in the area.
We get some new ones coming.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to hit
to these folks, right?
And get them involved. The money they can give us, it helped their business. And the advertising that we give them, they go on the website, they go on all our talks, they go on the stage. We have banners up on the stage with all the companies' names. They get constant referrals. So it's not like they're just giving us money and it disappears. You got to give to get.
And it's community involvement, community support.
Right.
That's one of the tenets of being in business. You understand the community that you're in. You should be being a part of that, and I'm hoping that a lot of these new businesses quickly get on board. I think they will. They generally do. They all have philanthropic arms and whatever, and they do things. So hopefully that something like the Folk Festival, once they see it and learn about it, I think we can get them on board.
Volunteers, people like to do something. They would like to get involved. Get involved in the workings of the festival. We have open arms. There's all kinds of things that can be done. Drivers, bringing acts to the stage back, going to Boston or back, whatever, and volunteers to, set up, take down, everything, Bucket Brigade, everything. We can use volunteers at, and it's not like you're volunteering for 3 days. We try to
4-hour shifts.
We try to get 4-hour shifts, and if you want to come back another day, fine. But if we draw about 125,000 people to this, 130,000. If everybody gave us $1, all right,
you're golden.
What do you think we'd be? But again, it just. And I know that some people look at it's a weekend, away from boredom for some people because they don't do much because they don't have the money to do anything during the summer. So this is a great escape for them, and I'm glad we can do it. It helps the city. It helps, it's one of the most peaceful weekends in the city probably. Anything that happens, negatively happens after hours. We're back at the hotel, hitting the sack, to wait for the next day, and that's when because downtown's shut down for the weekend. The streets.
It's pretty tame. It's there were a couple of years there where things got crazy a decade ago, but it's pretty calm, and it's a family friendly environment. It's a safe environment, and it's more importantly, it's a fun environment. I think it's a great advertising vehicle for the city.
It is.
And our community, and we're glad that you guys put it on. So you mentioned the website. Give it to everybody one more time.
It's lowellfolkfestival.org.
So then that's where you get all your info. You can see the act.
You'll see the acts that are coming. You'll be able to punch on them and hear a little music. Again, it's amazing what you can learn on the website. You know, and again, you can donate there. You can press the volunteer there. You can see what's going on, what foods are there. It's the whole festival on the website.
All right. Artie Sutcliffe, thank you for taking the time to join us here on the Daily Pulse. I hope, the first thing we'll hope for is great weather. Last year was perfect, by the way, perfect weather. Can we get a repeat of that this summer? We'd be more than happy to have that. But more importantly, thank you for what you do. Thank you for keeping this going despite the challenges. I know every year brings different challenges. This one is, losing a chunk of money, a lot of uncertainty, but I have faith that, as you said, 125,000 people show up. There's a lot of goodness, there's a lot of kindness there. And if everybody does just a little, or if they've already supported through the past, you do just a little more, we know we'll have one in 2026, and then we can kind of build a nice solid base and keep this going. As you said, you talked about the National Folk Festival. So for folks who don't understand the history of this, the National Folk Festival came to Lowell for 3 years. What was it?
Late 80s.
87, 88, 89 or something like that.
And then we started
it was such a huge success, which is great because that's when all the federal money comes in for that. But then to keep it going, you guys with the Lowell Festival Foundation, the Regatta Foundation, whatever you were called back in those days, you wanted to keep it going, and you brought it back every single year. And as you said, now this is year number 36. 37. You've done it for 36 years. This is year number 37.
I got marks across my back for every year. And they get the whip out.
When they chop you down, they're going to count the rings around you and count we added a new ring, 37 on Artie Sutcliffe.
That's it.
It's a great event. Again, July 25th through 27th here in downtown Lowell. Artie Sutcliffe, thank you. We'll see you many times. We'll talk many times between now and then, and we'll keep getting the word out to have folks.
Yep. And anybody got any questions? If they get a hold of you, then you get a hold of me or whatever. Or go on the website and ask any questions. And we're open. And again, the Lowell Festival Foundation, which is the backbone of this festival, it's a small group, but it does a lot. All volunteers. If you're interested, be glad to have you join, to get involved in the background of this. And
be nice to get some new faces.
Exactly.
Get the next generation to step forward.
Exactly.
All right. Artie, thank you so much.
Thanks, Teddy.
Thank you to Artie Sutcliffe. Thank you for tuning in to this Tuesday, June 17th edition of the Daily Pulse. Tomorrow, we're going to be joined by former Lowell Mayor Bill Samarist and some friends from the CBA, Coalition for a Better Acre. Dan Rivera, the former Lawrence mayor and the former head of mass development, will be with us here in the Well Point studios. I can't remember what I have booked on Thursday. I did have Superintendent of Lowell Schools Liam Skinner. He had to cancel out. We'll fill it in with something, either that or I'll sit here and I'll annoy you for a half hour or so with my ramblings. Friday, we'll have a reduced power hour, as we're calling it. Our buddy Batch and Han will be here for all sorts of insanity as we wrap up the week here on Inside Lowell. For everybody here at Inside Lowell, thank you for tuning in. As we like to say, Inside Lowell. If Lowell is your home, this is your place. Till next time, stay safe, stay dry out there today, and I'll catch you on the other side.